appreciate many of you being here in person for this meeting. And I really appreciate the consultants and others being on virtually. There's a couple of new faces and others. I want to go around, let you know who's on attending virtually, so you're aware who's on virtually. And on that side, I hope please speak up so we can record and get good minutes. But to let you know who is attending virtually, it's Darlene's here, Kelly is here, Miranda from VHB, from Nelson Nygaard is here, Roy's on, Sherry Apple's on, Greg, and Yanessa from Nelson Nygaard is also on. And y'all can see who's also on. I want to introduce a couple of new faces here. We actually have a youth delegate on the outboard. She is the voice of the youth. Would you like to introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are?
Nish, we cannot hear her.
Yeah, we can't hear her, Nish.
Please speak up. I hope this is getting your voice to be able to record. So, because we take minutes at the end, so we'll be putting this together. So, thank you. Sidewalk is very important to a lot of people here in Orange County. And blame it on inflation or DOT. You're We have another face also on here, Heidi. We're gonna go around the whole round robin, okay?
Red Marshall, and according to the minutes, I'm still from the spring of.
I will fix. I thought I had fixed it. That's my goof again. I thought I'd fix it, but I'll be sure to stop copying and pasting.
Nish, I can't, I'm sorry, I can't hear anybody.
Yeah, same. I'm not sure if there's a central microphone you're using or the laptop, but anything anybody said,
I'm
not been
Jamie
able to hear anything
Crandall,
other than you.
Eno Township.
I'm Gene Owen. I believe I'm at large and just found out about the appointment a week ago. So trying to get up to speed on everything here.
Much better not knowing your name.
Yeah, not knowing my name. Well, you could forget it. Gene Owen. I live in Chapel Hill.
Are there any additions or changes to the agenda you would like to propose? If we have time, I'd like to talk about the initiative. Don't have time.
We would, if we have time, we'll definitely cover it. I'll give you an update on that. If not, I would have more information to share with you next month.
Like when you're coming in after returning library book. Doesn't always work. But it's only happened, like I've only seen it like twice in the last 6 months where a car has been like sitting at the gate and it just doesn't go, it doesn't trigger it. And so I was wondering if we could like.
Which gate is this? I'm sorry.
At the Eagle River parking deck, right off of, like, the parking deck right next to the.
It's where we used to meet.
Yeah,
Oh, that deck, the garage, the gateway, the garage, the city's garage, Hillsborough
Yeah.
garage. Okay, the one behind the library.
yeah. But twice. Not triggered, so.
Anybody else?
We'll let asset management services know about that.
Good. How about an update on the, bridge on Orange Grove Road over at 40 with the, bollards?
I will, give you update and let you know what next steps are. I will give you an update. During my update is at the end of where the NCDOT report updates and stuff.
Okay.
I'll give you an update and I'll tell you what the next steps are.
What you is doing? Buckhorn and Orange Grove Road with, motor graders. Looks like they're scraping the shoulder. Preparation of laying down more asphalt for bikes.
Buckhorn at Orange Grove Road.
Buckhorn. There's other roads in that area that they're, scraping. Starting right there at the fire station. The fire station on where Buckhorn comes in on road. No, all down the Buckhorn, from the fire station all the way to, Arthur Meadows. And on Orange Grove from the intersection with, I mean, not on Orange Grove, on Dairyland, excuse me. On Dairyland, in the intersection of Orange Grove, out towards, Rocky Ridge.
So-
They're just scraping the shoulders for thoroughfare.
Buckhorn and Orange Grove or Dairyland?
Buckhorn, oh, Dairyland,
Dairyland.
and there's another road in that area.
I'll have to look that up and find out. I think it may be part of a resurfacing, but I'll find out. I'll have to contact DOT and find out what's going on with that, their resurfacing list. If they're doing that, if they're doing shoulder work or scraping, or if it's just some vendor messing up their area, but I'll have to look into, that, get back to you. So just to make sure I have an update, follow up on the list of changes. You want an update on the Rails to Trails project that's going on, being discussed in Carborough? The rail line, correct? Gateway at the garage is messed up, so I'm gonna talk with AMS to see about fixing that. And there's something going on, DOT is doing around rural Orange County in the Buckhorn, Dairyland, Orange Grove Road area, either involving resurfacing or scraping or somebody with something to do with shoulders. And I'll find up and I'll give you an update later on the bollards and stuff along Orange Grove Road. And they terms, okay, and then to go over the terms.
I have a question that I can just send you, but it has to do with truck traffic going through Hillsborough. Because there's some interesting signage that says no through trucks. Yet,
US DOT for Safe Streets and Roads for All program.
Yes.
Program that we can take advantage of or have.
The SS4A, the Safe Streets for All, is a really great funding opportunity that has came up with the Transportation Authorization Bill. There's been a lot of competition for those funds, and there's been a lot of movement going for them. I think Josh can help me understand what's been going on. I don't know if Chapel is doing it, but I know DCHC MPO is pursuing it and is getting a safety project going in that area. I don't know what Chapel Hill is doing for that. There are some opportunities.
safety planning. They also allow demonstration projects. So we're gonna use that money to do traffic calming. We're not allowed to put down permanent improvements with that money, unfortunately, but it is a very useful source, and they have not been able to distribute their full planning funds. So there's a good amount of money there if you want to plan things or do demonstration projects.
So it's initiated, the transportation planners to.
Yes.
We had to pursue that. It's a very competitive process to go through that. There are available funds and that is something I would be working on. Yeah, the local match requirement.
What's the definition of a demonstration?
Their definition of a demonstration project is at the end of your 3 or 5 year grant performance period, you should be able to take it out. So for us, it's gonna be bollards, it's gonna be rubber that's bolted down, it's gonna be things that we can take out. It can't be concrete, can't be.
Things that can be
built on
removable.
walls.
You can remove it from after you built it. But that is something we will look into trying to pursue because we've also got requests for commissioners to go for a raise grant too. So things that we will be working on. Hey, this is a public meeting. You're welcome in. You're welcome to join. It's a public meeting. Not tonight. September. October 1st. It's in October 1st. 1st and 15th. Tomorrow. You good? You're welcome to join us. I don't have a project yet. I need to work on creating a planning project or a safety project to do that. The bollards would be one, but I'd have to do it like a county-wide kind of area. It's more than just one little individual because this is a very competitive project. Oh yeah, yeah, minutes are next after the public comments. I don't have anybody online and we have one member of the public. Thank you so much for coming. Besides the Brigham Township, I will fix that.
It hard to indicate that I left, but all of that, I actually read these in detail to get the content. I was struck by the inconsistency of the naming system in there. Some people are first initial and last name, some people are just first name, some people are first name and last name. It'd be cool to just have one consistent way to do names. Randy?
This is kind of picky, but it's personal. Line 79, Marshall, that's 2 L's.
And I'm also referred to as C Hughes, capital C Hughes. And my name, Michael, is consistently misspelled.
Just a note, I don't know if anybody online can hear. I know I had a tough time hearing, so I don't know if the mic's just on your laptop or if there's a directional mic, but a lot of people, it was like pretty quiet for a couple of minutes.
That's what I was asking people to speak up. Yes, Roy.
I think we're doing minutes. I'm having trouble hearing, but
Wait,
line 4, I wasn't there last month and it says I was.
This is Sherry. I also say that I was there and I was not.
The end of the agenda says that the next meeting is scheduled for August 19th. But I think that was supposed to be September 30th.
Any other comments?
One, just one general comment, and it's about consistency on the website. So I thought we did away with the at-large, but if you look at what everybody's township is, it's different than what's listed on the website, so I just think we need consistency.
Let me see if I got these corrections down. One, the Bingham Township. Two, you want naming consistency in all future minutes, the naming convention to be consistent throughout the minutes. That either first letter, last name, or just the last name or first name, some consistency among all names. Marshall's 2 L's. C. Hughes. Yeah. Marshall's 2 L's. Correction name for Michael, your C. Hughes. Make sure that's so consistent and correct. Sherry and Roy were not at last month's meeting in the minutes. August needs to be updated to September. And we need to update the website for the at-large positions. And you left it, so.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none. Minutes are approved with corrections. Thank you, Nash.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And again, please speak up so we can get, next time I'll work on getting a better technology, like having something in the center or something like that to be able to record better, to make sure I'm not making any mistakes. And now I'll go back and once I make the corrections on this set, hopefully I'll make a future template for future sets that they would not be able to go through this issue again. I do want to ask one question regarding the update from the last time we did the minutes to this one. Is this the general nature of the summary of the, in terms of the notes and stuff, how you would like it going forward? Because I know we had discussion last time, whether they're too detailed verbatim or anything like that. Is this a good? Okay, awesome. Thank you. Any other questions online? If those who are attending virtually, any other corrections, any changes? Because we have a motion approval and I'll make these changes, corrections before they're posted. Now I'm going to share my, I think the next item is up to the consultants. Is a short range transit plan, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Yanessa and Miranda, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Sounds good, and I can share my screen if that's showing in the room as well.
It is seeing it. Hopefully when you start sharing, it should show up.
Okay. So hi everyone, I'm Yanisa. I was here, I think earlier this year, and I'm here with Miranda, who presented to you all last month. So we have some, oh, can you all hear fine?
Give me 1 second. Give me one
Okay.
second. Let me move this thing so that everybody else can hear.
Sounds good.
I don't, there's going to be an echo.
If I talk like this, can everyone hear?
I'm going to risk an echo.
Okay, I'll just keep talking and see if it works.
Yeah, okay, we're good.
Okay, can everyone hear okay now? Okay, great. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, so we have some, I guess I'll start over. I'm Yanisa and I'm here with Miranda. Miranda was here last month from our team to present updates on the Orange County Short Range Transit Plan. And we were both here earlier this year to give you the first look at this project. So we're near the end of this project now, and we wanted to come to you to present kind of the final changes to the plan and then ask for this to be recommended for approval to go to the board. And so I'll kind of go through this presentation. It won't repeat that much of what Miranda presented last time. We mostly focus on how we're finalizing up the plan. And then if you have any questions, just feel free to jump in, though if you're in the room, if you could if Nish, you can repeat any questions that people have because it's pretty hard to hear. So jumping in, I'll give a little bit of a project overview and then I'll pass it on over to Miranda to talk about the results from this past round of engagement that we just had. Then we'll talk about the changes to the draft short-range transit plan and then talk about final steps for the project. So as a reminder for the project overview itself, the short-range transit plan had 4 goals. The first is to develop operating and capital transit improvements for Orange County. The second is to review Orange County's potential transit funding sources beyond just the county transit tax. The third is to create a detailed implementation plan focusing on fiscal year 2026 to 2030, but also creating recommendations for the post fiscal year 2030 timeframe. And also to use the recommendations that come out of this plan as inputs for the next long-range transit plan and for future planning processes. And so getting to the short-range transit plan, we began this project last fall or last winter, where we started with reviewing existing conditions, and then trying to figure out kind of what the demand for transit is in Orange County and how well current services are serving that demand right now. We then kicked off phase 1 engagement, which was the first time we came to you all. And for that, we went out to the public, asked what people would like to see out of their transit system as so to get us started on the strategies for improving transit in Orange County. And then we developed an evaluation framework in which we needed a way to, once we had our transit strategies, how to decide which ones to prioritize based on what the public said and also different evaluation criteria. We then came up with the strategies and then evaluated them using this evaluation framework. And then using that evaluation framework, we prioritized strategies and we created an implementation plan from fiscal years 2026 to 2030 and also the post-2030 timeframe. And all of that we compiled into the draft short-range transit plan and we prepared engagement materials, which we then brought out to the public again this past month. So what Miranda presented last time was our draft short-range transit plan. And now we are here. So we're here to finalize and present the final short-range transit plan. I'll pause here real quick. Any questions on kind of our process, how we got here?
Heidi?
I just had one question. Sorry. I noticed on page 1 of my packet for the transit plan, it listed 4 appendices and I
didn't print the appendices. I did not print the appendices in the packet. I apologize. That was my mistake. I did not print the appendices in the packet. The appendices goes into the detail of the existing conditions, funding, public engagement, and media kit and stuff like that. I apologize for not printing the appendices in the packet because the packet would have been twice as thick.
Took like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And this was just a question on the process. I see there was a group of key stakeholders and I just wondered how many of them actually were transit users?
So,
sorry, go ahead.
the Heidi was asking did you hear the question?
If the key stakeholders were transit users.
Yeah.
Yes. So for key stakeholders, we the kind of the main project team that was looking at this was the core technical team. So those are staff from other transit partner transit agencies, the different MPOs, and other kind of regional and the Hillsborough, Mebane, Carborough, and Hillsborough and Chapel Hill representatives. So they're more kind of technical staff and hopefully they use their services.
No,
we also
so the question was about the stakeholder list. The stakeholders when we did the engagement were the stakeholders, transit users. So I know the core technical team was the staff and everything, but the stakeholder, were they transit users when y'all did the engagement?
The stakeholders, that one, I'll let Miranda chime in a little bit more about this because it's more on the engagement side. But for those, we mainly talk to the heads of different organizations and apartment buildings. So we're not entirely sure their transit user status, but Miranda, do you have more to add there on who was on our list here?
Yeah, so the key stakeholder groups that we reached out to, those were community organizations, key destinations such as senior centers, apartment buildings, and we targeted many of those for the reason that they often include many transit users. And we did ask during our survey, which we'll get into in the following section, that about 50% of people who responded to our survey rode transit. So we do have at least some feedback from current users of the system, as well as potential future users as well.
And to add to what they were saying, we did go to the Department of Aging and their senior citizens who use the transit. We did go to some of I as person went to the Cedar Grove community centers and other community centers. They did farmers market, like we were at Walmart, seeing transit users and stuff like that. We didn't have a stakeholder table. There was no stakeholder group. These are the when it comes to a stakeholder list, it's us reaching out to them. It's us going out to them and getting them involved. It's not that we had a stakeholder meeting.
Like development of the SRTP was overseen by the core technical team, a group of key stakeholders meeting regularly. So
the language, the narrative, the language, the core technical team met monthly. The core technical team met monthly, which is the staff of Orange County, DCACMPO, BGMPO, TARPA, the Central Pine Region RPO, and CDOT. Those are the core technical team that we met monthly with, as a stakeholder list. But when it came to the public engagement piece, they created a separate list of trying to see what other agencies we need to reach out to, like the Department of Aging, community centers, Gateway Apartments, and other places to get more people involved, as in a technical expert input and the public's input. I hope that helps.
And to clarify that a bit more, that's a piece of wording we can change to. I think in there we meant stakeholders in the broader term of like the again the partners that we list up on the core technical team. But Nish is right that we didn't have a stakeholder standing meeting. We more did one-on-one outreach to a lot of stakeholders to help spread the word and get their feedback.
They'll clean up the narrative for that. Yes.
Might as well mention now that the cover memo on the short-term goals to reinstate the Alamance Orange Connector with actual recognition.
They pointed that out to me earlier. Yeah, they pointed that out to me. That's a correction that's on me on the abstract. It's wrong on the abstract because the short term, I think, and you need to correct me, the short term is discontinue the Orange Alamance. The long term is the reinstatement of the Orange Alamance.
Correct. And that's based on kind of a few different variables, including funding and kind of higher priority for other projects that could use that funding. But we did hear, as we'll talk about in the public engagement stage, that kind of long-term there is interest in bringing that route back. It's just in our evaluation framework did not score as highly as other routes.
Yeah, it was. I apologize for the incorrection on the abstract. The abstract is the discontinuation of Orange Alamance. The reinstatement is a future long-term consideration.
I think the question about the appendices is a good segue into the next part of this, though, because I think that'll help clarify some of what we covered as well.
Yeah, so I can move on to kind of what's in the SRTP. So the document that you all have in your packet is the short range transit plan itself. We've also created 4 appendices to go along with that, and I'll kind of explain what's in each one. Because the short range transit plan itself is it's pretty short. It's a high level summary of it does not include every step that we did, while the appendices does. So for Appendix A, this is actually a document you've seen already. This is our original existing conditions report with its own appendix. That's a review of the past plans that we looked at. And these are some of the selection of the maps. So this is where we looked at population density, employment density, where key activity centers are, where travel flows are, and where people are trying to get to, where new developments are happening. And this really helped to inform kind of the strategies and the public engagement that we did subsequent to this. Appendix B has our strategies evaluation process. So it talks about how we developed the strategies, and then also the evaluation framework that we created to evaluate each of the strategies. We then prioritize the strategies based on the scores that come out of our evaluation framework. And we also did the same for our capital projects. So just as an example on the screen here, one of the tables included in Appendix B is the detailed scoring behind each of our strategies. So each row is a strategy, and then our evaluation criteria were each column, or a summarized version of it, and then the total score that each one. So for example, here the service improvements to mobility on demand scored the highest. The Appendix C then kind of follows the project process, and it gets us into the funding and implementation plan. Sorry, was there a question? Oh, okay, just a little bit echoing. So for the funding and implementation plan, this is where we get into how much funding we've after our research is available for the short range transit plan, and also a list of additional funding opportunities and grants that Orange County can apply for to help fund some of these projects. We then have the implementation plan by strategy. So for each strategy, there's a 2-page project sheet with the first page is what's included in the actual short range transit plan document. So that's like the 1 page that you have for each document there. And then this appendix adds a second page that goes more into detail about funding and implementation. So for example, this is the second page of the mobility on demand service improvements page. We have phasing in 2 phases. There's annual revenue hours by year, per year, and then for each fiscal year, how much we estimate this project will cost. A high level look at the funding sources, and then also a high level look at the implementation steps. So here for mobility on demand, we are recommending that Orange County work with the technology vendor to implement zones for mobility on demand, update the website to include more information, and then we have a proposed way to allocate vehicles per zone for mobility on demand. So there's just more steps included in the Appendix C here than is in the short range transit plan, as the short range transit plan is intended to be more public facing, while the appendix is more for how does Orange County actually implement this on the ground. And then lastly, we have public engagement. So here we have from both phases of engagement that we did, we have a public engagement report for each one with key findings and results from our survey. And we've also included all of the flyers and posters and boards and materials that we used for that round of engagement. So that's included in appendices. I'll hand it over to Miranda to talk about what we heard from phase 2 engagement, but I'll stop there for any questions first.
I don't see any hands, and I don't see anybody.
Okay, Miranda, take it away.
All right. Yeah. So last time I was here, it was for in person. It was for our phase 2 engagement, and the outreach period went from August 19th to September 12th, where we aim to collect feedback on the proposed strategies and our implementation timeline, and then as well as just educating residents about the existing transit options that they have in Orange County. And during this period, we gave 2 presentations, one to the OUTBOARD, along with my colleague Sam, who's pictured here, and to BPAC in Mebane as well. And then we held 7 pop-up events throughout the county where we had over 125 conversations where we talked about the plan and got feedback. And we also received 133 completed surveys, both paper and online. And kind of what we found based on all of this was that we found strong support for many of our proposals. A lot of the services aimed at improving transit experiences for older adults and people with disabilities got a lot of positive feedback, especially easier booking of mobility on demand by phone and weekend demand response service. We also heard a lot of positive feedback for improvements to walkability and walking access to transit, in particular on Orange Grove Road, which I think I even heard mentioned in this meeting a little earlier today about improving the walkability there, as well as near Walmart and Aldi and the crossings there and making sure that that's safe. And there was also support for the kind of big changes to the Hillsborough circulator, splitting that up into 2 and increasing its frequency. And there was also excitement for the introduction of the Mebane circulator. I highlighted here just kind of a big takeaway that for most people responding to the survey, that the proposed changes would make it easier for them to use public transportation in Orange County. And I highlighted some positive comments that we got back. And then some of the, one thing we did here is this, people stressed the importance of continuing to invest in reliability as well as expansion. And so we did hear concerns about the lack of all-day fixed route service between Hillsborough and Mebane. So, you know, the removal of the midday Orange Alamance connector. However, we were able to talk to folks and hear that there was an understanding of the trade-offs that were happening there, where the money going to that could be used to support improving mobility on demand, which gets people closer to where they're trying to go, and you know, focusing on the circulators and the higher ridership services that existed. We also heard a desire for, you know, when the funding's available, to continue to expand for weekend service and longer weekday hours. And we also heard consistent feedback that reliability is really a key issue, and the availability of real-time information would be a big improvement for folks. So we made sure to continue to integrate all of this into the plan as we were kind of thinking about what was possible with the funding that was available that we were able to find, and balancing the kind of competing issues that we have. So also highlighted here, yeah, there will always be interest for better, you know, more weekend service, and that just isn't possible right now, but we want to make sure that that's highlighted in the plan for future investment when that's possible.
And so coming out of this engagement round, and also feedback that we've heard from our CTT and from the stakeholders, the final changes that we're making to the short range transit plan that are in the version that you have now, but were updated from what we shared last time, was that, first of all, we expanded more on the implementation detail, including emphasizing a lot more on transit information and making sure people know how to find information about the service and making sure the service itself is reliable. We also adjusted the prioritization order of the walkability improvements, so bringing up Orange Grove Road to the medium term that previously was in the long term, like post 2030 timeframe. So now it's more in the 2028 to 2030 timeframe, as a lot of folks stress how important that was. We've also updated the Mebane circulator route to serve Walgreens. That was something that the city of Mebane has edited since the last time we've published this plan. And then we've brought back that Orange Alamance connector proposal for post 2030, and we have some suggestions on an adjusted route for that to make it a bit more of an efficient service. And then lastly, we've added some graphics to showcase the capital improvement. So what does a rural mobility hub look like, or rural transit hub look like, and what does an improved bus stop look like? So helping people kind of visualize what could be coming to their area. So those are kind of the final changes, and then I'll just end on this final steps slide. So we are presenting this to you all at the OUTBOARD now, and then the plan is to bring this to the Board of County Commissioners in mid-October, and then start implementation in 2025. So fiscal year 2026 starts in 2025, and there's a lot of prep work to begin the projects that we have for the short term. And with that, our contact info, but yeah, I just wanted to go back to this slide. Any other questions? Anything that you've noticed in the plan that you would like us to edit? Kind of like the stakeholder terminology. That's one we can fix pretty quickly.
On page 19, the rural transit goals map, I have to point out, being representative of Little River Township, that our township almost does not appear on the map at all. The big chunks of northern and eastern Orange County don't have, a little bit of southern Orange County don't appear on that map. Little River Township barely on the map at all, and we get no amenities whatsoever in this plan, as if we're not taxpayers and part of the county at all. It's like we're forgotten. the one rural transit hub proposed in the northern half of the county is as far away from where I live as Hillsborough is. It actually takes a little longer than Hillsborough to get over to Cedar Grove. So, I have to step up for this, and that you leave the residences of some of the county commissioners off the map is probably not the most politically wise way to present to them. No, Earl McKee immediately noticed that his house is not in this map and his township left out of the plan.
That is a very good point, and I think that's something we can work on improving some of the graphics to that to address the rural hub. And I really appreciate you mentioning Little Township and other places. Rural Transit Hub is part of the county's strategic plan. That is why it is an important thing for Orange County to do, because when the strategic plan was done, I think it was done this past year, we recently adopted, hence the performance measures, and it's setting up where we had to create 3 rural transit hubs, rural nodes, 3 per year or 1 per year. We're working on the performance measure for that right now. Right now, the only ones that are, I think, the NS has identified is those that are in locally adopted plans, like the US 70 corridor study, the 54 corridor study that has some of the rural areas, like White Cross and Orange Grove Road and those things. Those are local corridor studies that were approved that has some of the rural nodes in there. I don't think we've done a real assessment of rural Orange County where the nodes can be, like Little River Township and other places in Cedar Grove Community Center and other places that are out there. I think we're going to be working with AMS to find out where emergency centers, emergency hubs, where we can coordinate partnership with like fire stations and other community places and stuff like that. So we need to work on that kind of future analysis. Right now, this plan is simply saying rural hubs and rural centers to be in line with the county's strategic plan, but later we would have to find out where in the rural areas we need to actually put them. And it is great that you mentioned that Little Township would be a great place, especially if Earl McKee is going to ask me that when I go to the board next in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I can also
Go ahead.
I can expand a little on how they were chosen for this plan. Is it was looking at places where people have ridden mobility on demand in the ridership maps showed us, as well as where the appropriate level of density was. That more, because I think one of the things we run into in doing a sort of rural transit plan is that by its very nature, it's, you know, like there's a lot of space between every house, between every community center. And so trying to find a central area can be a little difficult where there is that level of density that would support a stop that more than 1 or 2 people would use. And so I think identifying places where there's growing density is important for making sure that we continue to invest in those places. I think because mobility on demand does serve everyone in the county. It serves the entire county plus 10 miles beyond the border. You don't have to get the ride at a hub. The hubs are just a level of additional amenity where there's that slightly higher density of maybe employment activity or like a doctor's office where a lot of people from more rural areas are congregating. And so I think if there's places that should have additional amenities, that is something that can be brought up sooner in the plan. But I think that it is important to stress that mobility on demand is a service that serves every household in Orange County, no matter where you live. It will come directly to your door if there's a road there. So I want to make sure, and like improving that is really what we wanted to focus on, and making sure that folks in these rural areas have access to something reliable like mobility on demand in a way that wasn't the case.
Right. And just one other thing I'll chime in to answer that question is also we can, you'll notice that a lot of the rural transit hubs we've identified are along the current Orange Alamance connector path, which that was on purpose as something because we're removing a service, we wanted to show that there is a clear replacement for the service. That is, people can take mobility on demand anywhere in the county, and there's the infrastructure is beginning to be there already. There's already a bus stop pole. There's already kind of we just wanted to focus on that first as the area that we're removing service. But in terms of edits to this plan, we can edit this map to include the whole county and include the 10-mile boundary around the county as well.
Thank you. I think that's what Eric Legg also said. He sits 10 miles east of this map, so we need to just improve the map
Mhm.
cover the other areas. We have two
I
other
see some hands
questions.
up, yep, in the teams.
We have one
Sure.
here. I think.
The changes to the 420 bus route, where did that come from? Like, was that made by, Go Triangle, or was that made based on feedback?
The consolidation, so y'all can answer this one, or you can, I can.
Yeah,
help
we
with the
also worked
conversation.
on the Go Triangle Short Range Transit Plan earlier. So for that one, the changes to the 420 were a part of the Go Triangle Short Range Transit Plan that was conducted last year to early this year. And that recommended the 420 to be shifted in, I think, 2027 or 2028. And this Orange County Short Range Transit Plan recommends eventually consolidation between the two routes as they're kind of run along a similar path and have similar markets. But for the short term, at least coordinating them more, so making them run on the same path and with the same schedule, or with schedules that kind of show up on both websites, so that people know what to take in the mornings versus midday. And then
Sure.
continuing those conversations with Go Triangle.
The follow-up question to that, who can I talk to at Go Triangle about the proposed change in the route?
Okay, let me answer this one a little bit. The consolidation of 420 and the hill to hill started in November 2022. We had talked about consolidating as a recovery from COVID. I mean, ODX was another part of the conversation, improving changes to the ODX and the CRX and the 420 and the consolidation. So Go Triangle updated their short range transit plan. It is I can't get the clear history, but it was originally a one route service. I think it was a Go Triangle service at one point. Go Triangle ran that service connecting Hillsborough to Chapel Hill. It broke up into two different services. Orange County took over some of it, and Go Triangle took over another of it. Kind of to Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill ran it, and I think Josh can talk more about the Chapel Hill side because then it was a peak hour, midday kind of service. So since 2022, Go Triangle, us, and we've been trying to consolidate, improve that service because there's, like you said, there's a lot of confusion going on with it. Hopefully, when we continue this conversations of how it's going to be actually consolidated and cleaned up, we'll have a better messaging of that route.
I think
Yeah, because they're getting
Yeah.
rid of one bus stop and chopping up a significant unincorporated area of the county.
I'd be happy to point you to the Go Triangle rep. I think we have had a tough time. I know Chapel Hill's advisory boards, the whole process tried to get changes to the CRX route because it was going to cut access to downtown Chapel Hill and a lot of people's access to Raleigh. We were not able to get Go Triangle to change their consolidation. We tried through their whole public engagement process. The public engagement is over. Have to point to the right folks, but it's not looking lucky.
So it's
That's the CRX. That was
Go Triangle decides where the 420 route runs. They contract with Chapel Hill Transit to run it because we're right there. So Go Triangle made the call that the 420 should stop running on 86 and use 40 starting in 2027. So that will happen. That's whoever runs the buses will run that route because Go Triangle dictates that route.
the 420 is a Go Triangle route. Yeah, 420 is Go Triangle. Yeah, 420 is Go Triangle.
Orange County's short range transit plan says we should probably do what the 420 does because it's the same.
totally like that. But I don't.
Makes sense, but it might not be the right thing to do either.
For Orange County.
You know,
Yeah.
on the survey, and it's starting to just to run down the interstate as fast as possible and no longer go by Blackwood Station, Walmart, Home Depot, Aldi, the car dealer.
Yeah.
Burger King.
The thing that really sticks out to me is like, even on this most recent round of engagement, they're talking about we need to improve connection between Hillsborough and Chapel Hill. And you're just chopping that whole section.
Like only that side of Hillsborough actually gets connected to Chapel Hill and then they're just bypassing the rest.
Exactly.
No, I agree. I used to ride that bus and my stop was the Home Depot stop and they're cutting that one off.
Well, and I used to ride it and I would see people stopping there all the time, all the time.
Wait, why would they get rid of it?
I think Go Triangle's approach would be because there are more riders in Hillsborough and Chapel Hill, we want to get those folks there faster.
Just to cut out the rural area and just focus on the two urban
Yeah.
areas, to focus on the two cities.
Walmart is very rural.
I wouldn't say that.
Do you have an idea what would be preferred? Uh,
Yeah, and just one thing I'll chime in is,
Yeah.
sorry, I can't hear if I'm talking over someone.
So I'll.
People from Chapel Hill would take, so I rode that bus for like 6 years. People from Chapel Hill would take that bus to Walmart to do their shopping. Like not, and it wasn't just people commuting to work. It was people who needed to get to Walmart because that's how you can get to Walmart from Chapel Hill, but you won't be able to anymore.
The questions that's being raised right now, Yanessa, here is that while Go Triangle may do whatever it wants with the 420, the 86 route should not be removed.
I think so, because there's also it's hard to tell if we're talking over someone over there. I apologize. I think when we were working at, like when Go Triangle was proposing this change to the route, it's paired with a new park and ride facility at the Food Lion on 70. And so it's meant to serve folks in northern Orange County who then only have to go to the top. I think that was kind of the target, and a lot of the folks who were getting the benefit from it was what we heard when the plan was
That
told
would
to
kill
us.
the East Hillsboro.
And
And you're focusing, and that just gets to the Hillsboro Park and Ride like that Go Triangle will have to construct.
yes, it's under, I think currently, yeah, there's like
It's under construction, I think, yeah.
And
sorry?
I think this seems like something that Go Triangle was not aware of, that anyone was using it to go to, that it was this common for Walmart to be a stop. It didn't seem to be in the ridership data that they had. But if that pattern had changed over time, I think that is something that's important to relay to them before this change happens. I think we'll continue to recommend the improvements to the Hillsborough circulator do improve access to the Walmart, with both circulator routes stopping there every 45 minutes.
But the issue is not the circular. The issue is the connection to Walmart to Chapel Hill. The connection to Hillsboro and Chapel Hill, not just be getting people on the express quickly between the two cities, but mainly because of people in Chapel Hill wanting to go to Walmart on 86, getting through 86.
Right.
Please keep in mind, I do have to give you an update, something that I learned from Hillsboro. But before I get to that update on Hillsboro, Sherry, you had to raise your hands are raised.
Yes, I have just some questions, and I had a lot of questions which I sent to you, Nisha, and I don't have to go through all of them. But a couple of comments. I really think that, and maybe it's in this plan or maybe it's not in this plan, but under the transit information campaign, I think this should have a high priority, and that it should be that we really hire, we meaning Orange County or whoever it is, hires a marketing group to do this, not just try to rely on kind of the Orange County Communications Office and things like that. I mean, I think people don't use that service because they don't know about it, and they don't know how easy it can use. Now, granted, maybe you don't want it to be used more, but I think that is an important piece, regardless.
I think Nessa Nagor is going to be helping us with that. I mean, Nessa, I don't know if you care to share the news about this regarding the messaging stuff.
Right.
And
well,
improving some of that campaign stuff.
Yeah, for that, we can help get started with some potential posters over the next month. Our contract goes until the end of October. So we have some ideas there. And for the transit information campaign, Sherry, I totally agree with you that that's probably the most important strategy that we have in there. And for that, just given some of the funding considerations in the short term, I do think it does, based on the funding available right now, until Niche is able to apply for more grants, it would come from in-house, and then kind of that next step would be to expand it more. So we can add some text in there about how, as more grant funding comes in, actually hiring someone who's like, we're transit consultants, we're not necessarily marketing professionals, but having someone in the medium term range in terms of hiring a professional to start this campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would affect a lot of this as well. Once we have some changes that are being made, you just talked about things that are going to be dropped off and new changes. And if you're going to have these hubs, I mean, people need to know about them in the conventional way. No offense to posters, but social media, even old people now use that to get information. And I think that that's an important expenditure that is missing from this information. So that was one comment I had. I'd like to see something in there that beefs that up. And then also, um, I saw that you moved the Orange County or the Orange High School from long-term to medium-term, but why not sooner? That is something that's been on our radar. I think a young person was just recently hit by a car over there.
Yeah,
Why not
I think
move that up higher? And then I would say I was interested in knowing, and maybe it's in your background material, but you had a meeting in July with school system folks, and I'd be interested in hearing how many of them attended and what were their thoughts.
That's the safer to school. That's the next item, Sherry.
Oh,
That's the next item. That's the next
sorry.
item.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just looking at my stuff and I should put my glasses on.
Yeah, I can answer the question about moving it to the medium term. Unfortunately, there are no short-term capital projects because the funding for capital improvements, which includes any sort of walkability improvement, those require grant funding, and so would require at least a year of lead time in terms of applying for and then receiving the funding and then beginning the project. So medium term is the soonest that that any capital funding could be acquired, given the amount of time it takes just to get the money for it. But we do recommend as soon as possible. And so we can clarify that for those projects. We just don't want to put anything in the plan saying it will happen in a year when grant funding is 2 to 3 years out. Because all of these require grant funding.
Sorry, I thought we already had money for a project.
No, none of these have
this, but in some other capital improvement. No.
Not yet. This is planning right now. We haven't had anything programmed yet. I think
And then the last comment is on the fair. There was some reference to the fair payment cards and having more an easier way to pay, and also the whole thing about timing. And there are a lot of best practices about fair cards and fair payment, as well as Next Bus apps and things like that. So there could be things there that we could easily that there already exist that could be adopted. And I just thought maybe that might be mentioned. And then lastly, the last thing is this graphic about the hub. Wherever those hubs go, if we could center them near like a library drop off, or have an internet connection there, that will bring people to those hubs to use them, and then they'll learn more. So those are just my thoughts. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much, Sharon.
we had two other comments. Art had a comment and Heidi's got one.
And then Eric's got one online too.
Say that what Sherry was advocating for was moving the Orange High School on page 21 up into the medium-term list rather than long-term list due to the student safety implications.
Yes, I see we have it in the long term right now.
okay. So
I think that, yeah, so I'll obviously require more grant funding, but I think kind of given current, like, I think we can move it up, right, Miranda?
I'll explain. I'll give you an update how we can move it up.
That is also eligible for additional funding because it's near a school. Right. So it actually is, yeah, we didn't really receive much feedback on that proposal at all. So I think that is good. Like, we can probably move that up to the medium term if that's an important location. I agree.
And we can note that, yeah, there's additional funding opportunities with the school.
Thank you. what constitutes long-term? Eric's question about what constitutes long-term is after the 5 years, correct?
Yes, after 2030. So that is kind of our unfunded bucket, but it's something we still recommend for future plans.
Heidi?
Fare cards and everything, looks like they're also going to look into fare free, which I'm sort of a proponent of, as long as you have some way of knowing where people are coming from and going to. I think that's I mean, the way it's done now, you don't really know who's getting on where and who's getting off where. And it would be great. I think Ottawa did a very good job when they were doing their bus schedules to find out exactly where people were coming from and going to, and then building their routes around that. The other thing I wanted to mention though, is, two things. One is the hill to hill. I agree. I've seen people be picked up along that route, not be picked up if it goes on I-40. And also, since it's been identified that Hillsborough and Chapel Hill are the two most populous parts of the county, I'm a little surprised that even in the long term, there's nothing about extending hours for that service between Hillsborough and Chapel Hill on the weekends or, later in the evening or any of that. It seems to me like that's a really missed opportunity to get people out of their cars.
If they were looking at extending evening hours and work. Perfect.
Yeah, that's, like I said, extending hours.
Extending hours also, and just to give you all another update, this is something I discovered when I was meeting with Hillsborough staff and telling what's going on with Hillsborough development. I don't know if y'all have heard about Waterstone Phase 2.
Yeah.
Have y'all heard about Waterstone Phase 2? Do you know what road it's on? What the southern portion of that Phase 2 is? It's on 86. The Waterstone Phase 2 development is something that I just recently learned about in Hillsborough's development. It's been approved and stuff like that. That's going to have an increased need for hopefully future ridership on 86.
Is it next to the hospital in that big?
East of the hospital, if you're going east on Waterstone Drive, if you're going from old 86 to new 86, if you're going east on Waterstone Drive, hospitals on the south side, the east of that is future development.
Based there, okay.
Office clinics, medical clinics, mixed use development, and then south of that is 700 homes. This is something I learned this week. Okay, late last week. Okay, so this is brand new news that I learned.
Oh,
yesterday,
sorry, we can
last
only hear
week.
like half what's going on in that room. So if you could help repeat any comments, that would be great.
The comments that I'm explaining is the need for the continuation of the hill to hill,
Right.
not the
Oh,
420.
and I think-
The 420
guess-
is
One thing with all of this is one of our biggest strategies is improving the mobility on demand, which again serves the whole county. And that again comes with the transit information piece and having to improve that a lot. As right now, even with I was just saying, even with the current hill to hill ridership right now, being able to kind of pick up people at their request at their front door does mean a higher quality of service than having to get to a bus stop on a really busy roadway for folks. So trying to lean in more into the mobility on demand and publicizing that a lot more so that people do use the service can help make those connections from between Hillsborough and Chapel Hill into either municipality.
that is a really great idea. The one is improving the fixed route service, and the other is improving the mobility on demand. The focus is on mobility on demand is from this plan. I think we have two. One, yes.
There's, I didn't know.
Okay, you're absolutely right. So the messaging campaign, improving the messaging of the hill to hill, because there is a lot of confusion between the hill to hill and the 420. Yeah. So because I get phone calls from Chapel Hill saying, "Where's my bus?" And are you questioning 420's bus, or are you questioning our bus that connects it? So there's a confusion in improving the messaging, improving the service to Go Triangle can do what it wants with this 420, while we can improve any movie on demand service between these two cities, or fixed route service reliability between the two cities, and improving the messaging campaign that goes with it. Yeah, Art, and then Sherry.
Not the right solution for that. That is a major and direct route. And I think it's foolish for Go Triangle to reroute that. And it would be a mistake. It would not be our best service to our citizens for us to follow suit and copy that 420 route if Go Triangle insists on doing that. We should keep our route on 86, keep on serving our people.
Isn't there a way we can stress something like that in this plan? In other words, the importance of maintaining the short range. I mean, it seems like this is the opportunity to do that in more of a formal way if everybody's on board with trying to.
You are the outboard. Your recommendation is what's going to the Board of County Commissioners. To give you an update, I just met with the Transportation Advisory Service last Thursday. The Transportation Advisory Service, I'm trying to get that back to meeting monthly. Again, before this meeting, the Transportation Advisory Service is the county directors, all the other county departments, the Department of Aging, Fleet, Health Department, and other departments, trying to get their feedback. The sustainability director, sustainability, who has provided the county's climate action plan. We now have a strategic planning manager who implements our county strategic plan. So those feedbacks have been going. I think the climate action plan director, we provide their comments to be updated in this transit plan about the climate action and our future conversion to EV vehicles and stuff like that. As the outboard, you have the authority to make a recommendation that in the approval that goes with any other changes, like moving the Orange Chapel Hill, Orange Grove Road to a higher priority. That is a recommendation that y'all are making as an outboard, and Nelson Nygaard is helping honor other changes and stuff like that, comments and improving maps and qualities. As an advisory board, you have that authority to make those recommendations as part of your action.
And I would
How
also
we fit that in, that is up to us. How we fit that in and how they get that done, we can coordinate before going to the Board of County Commissioners, because like I said earlier, Go Triangle can do what it wants with this 420. We're responsible for the rule of Orange County.
And I think I also want to just kind of make a point that we did also this proposal that Go Triangle did, it did go through a whole public engagement process when they did their short range transit plan. And then we've had our proposal with, when we presented this to the outboard last month, it was this same proposal when we brought it to the public and did our outreach asking about realigning with, on Highway 40 and with this kind of updated alignment. And we did actually receive some positive feedback from the public, from current riders who were really looking forward to the improved travel time and reliability. Because right now the route is often late. It has very low on-time performance, both the Go Triangle 420 and the Orange Chapel Hill connector, which is the midday route. And there often is lower ridership, especially after the pandemic. The ridership has not rebounded in the same way. And so focusing on the riders who have, we do want to make sure that we're not ignoring all of that positive feedback that we did hear. And when we presented this last month and talked to folks about the opportunities provided by mobility on demand for the people who live near 86, but it's like a mile from a bus stop. So were they really being served by the route when it's like a mile with no sidewalk versus an improved mobility on demand service that will get right to their door? Whereas then the Orange Chapel Hill connector and the 420 are connecting like major activity centers with high ridership as fast as possible to try to remove cars from the road. So I think there's clearly, connecting to the Walmart is something that I think we can potentially talk about, like maybe good timing with the Hillsborough circulator to try to allow for those transfers so folks can make that connection. I think that's something that we can definitely highlight in this plan. But I did want to just mention kind of why it's like that is we did get feedback in the early stages of the importance of the travel time and the reliability of those routes.
Right. And one other thing I'll add is I think the way we were framing this up initially was that this would kind of copy what the 420 is and what Go Triangle has done. But in terms of recommending to move this onto a faster roadway, it's something that kind of we as looking at kind of all the public engagement coming in so far, our technical evaluation framework, and just talking to the CTT, this is kind of our recommendation outside of that as well. So it's the consolidation of the two routes to make it more confused or to make it less confusing, but then also the improvements to speed and reliability as a whole. So making sure that fixed route can be fast and reliable for people in denser areas and mobility on demand, really helping with that door-to-door service so that people can be able to access a lot more people can access transit because not everyone lives near a stop in Orange County, as you know.
Understood. Heidi, and
So, not sure. It looked like, and I maybe just read the report, but it looked like maybe there were a total of 300 people that you got input from. And is that right?
total input received is around 300.
Yes, I think that's correct. Yeah, for this round of engagement. Oh, sorry, we can't hear Heidi anymore.
Because they're saying that you got 300 input from estimated around 300 input. If only half of them are transit users, then it's not really equitable.
No, I'm saying that people want to think in terms of not be served by that bus going on I-4.
Okay. So the people that are currently using the hill to hill, the service on going on 40 would be a detriment to their service. They would become underserved even more, is what they're saying.
They should be to keep on I-40 if you want to, but keep the hill to hill the way it is. That would be what I would want to see. If I was making
A recommendation? Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, I guess most of my issue is with 420. But like it seems to me that mobility on demand needs a different service, like needs a different need than the 420 does. Because a lot of the people who ride 420 are commuters or running for errands or doing something specific, and mobility on demand is, it kind of strikes me as like a one-off service or like use as needed, not use every single day, twice a day.
It also ends at 5.
And it also ends at 5, and therefore you can't use it if you work.
Yeah, because right now, correct me if I'm wrong, the service between the 420 and the midday is that some people may drive it, take one way and the other way. Not necessarily the same one back and forth. Not everybody who uses the hill to hill takes the same hill to hill to Hillsborough and back. They may get on one to get to Hillsborough, but they may take the other one to get back to Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're just trying to think. So it seems like because one of the things is like the ridership numbers were just not there along the corridor. And so I think it's like, in theory, yes, there is people who no longer have access to it, but those people are also not really utilizing the service because I think it wasn't properly meeting their needs. And so I think
it's not only not meeting their need, but I think there's also because there's confusion in the services. I mean, like you were saying earlier,
so
the campaign, the
trying to figure
messaging of the service, which one they need to take? Does somebody take the 420 or does somebody take the hill to hill?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what, like, the plan, like if we wanted to the 420 realignment, I think is happening. I don't know how much, like, if a deviation to Walmart could still be put into that, if that's something that, like, it's just very late in the process to get some of this
Well,
feedback.
Go Triangle will certainly have another round of engagement before service changes happens. I think that happens before every
Yeah.
service change. But in terms of the part that Orange County does have control over, and that's like the 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. time span of service that the current Orange Chapel Hill connector runs right now. That I think the current riders for that, like Nish was saying, is either they're taking both Orange Chapel Hill connector and 420 service one way or the other because they're not only traveling in that 10 to 3 time span if they're especially if they're commuters. So with that, we do see a benefit to having the same route for both routes so that they can take the same route back and forth, especially for folks traveling from town to town. Um, and then for the folks who are running errands, the actually mobility on demand is perfect for shopping trips as again, it does take you directly to your front door and to the front door of say the Walmart, rather than the folks having to walk without sidewalks from 86 to their home.
I think I'll recommend that the language in Orange County's short range transit plan should reflect that it follows the 420 route. I think we can argue Go Triangle should keep the 420 on 86, but having two different routes would be, I feel like a pretty tough thing to make work. If one's going down old 86 in peak hours and one's going down 86, the rest of the day, if I want to leave work in Chapel Hill, at 4 o'clock and I live off of old 86, my bus now no longer takes me where I need to get. I think we would want to keep them running the same routes personally.
So
But
maybe
I think we may want to word it so that they follow the same routes, and then after Orange County passes its short range transit plan, push Go Triangle to keep it on 86.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Rather than tying Orange County to the specific alignment, focusing on that coordination and consolidation and giving Orange County space to push for meeting their needs.
I'd be consolidating, you're simply allowing the flexibility of staying somewhere out on 86.
We're just saying, keep it on 86.
I guess my motion would be that we follow the consolidation simplified service between the Hill to Hill connector and Go Triangle Route 420. And after this plan passes, we push Go Triangle to keep the 420 on 86. I think it does seem important that they run the same route so that someone using the bus has the same route all day, that they don't get taken, 2 miles out of their way in the midday, but get on the same route that they want to be on, just, from 9 to 10 and from 5 to 7.
That reasoning makes sense to me, just to have the same route running. And I do feel it is a major loss for folks on 86 to have that change in route, but then,
Well, how's
We'll
it going to
get
tie
something
in
else.
with the north-south bus rapid transit?
Eubanks Road is the north-south bus rapid transit.
It would do
It's stopping at
40
Eubanks
to
Road.
get to Eubanks.
Okay.
Yes.
So also talking to Go Triangle there's a lot of conversations that need to keep happening for this anyways. Just what consolidation looks like. It's going to be a lot of conversation between Go Triangle and Orange County, and also as someone just said, if north-south BRT opens, that's another piece of this conversation. So I think for this plan, I do like the idea of just saying that, continuing that conversation about consolidation, following the 420 route.
Triangle continue. You take it over entirely.
That was my proposal back in.
That's a proposal I would be very enthusiastic.
That was my proposal back in November 2022.
Let's bring it back up. I'd be enthusiastic about that solution.
Is that a matter of money, though?
Yeah.
Our cost per hours are less than triangle.
Yeah, so at the beginning of this project, we did kind of bring up with Go Triangle the potential of full consolidation within the time span of this plan, and it did not look as feasible, which is why we kind of phased it out as first coordination and then full consolidation past 2030. But again, this is a lot of political conversations between the two agencies. on who has ownership over it. Yeah. I think both mics to the room are now muted, so we can't really hear anyone.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear
Okay.
us? Yeah.
I'm just had a quick time check. It's almost 8 o'clock. And I believe Josh has proposed an alternative to a motion to address the 420 and the hill to hill. Unless there's a motion on the floor.
That we recommend of the Orange County Short Transit Plan to the Orange County Commissioners with the note that Orange County and the commissioners should advocate Go Triangle for and the same hill to hill.
Yes. Are you saying second? Oh, we got it.
Do we want to add, that we also recommend that they move the walking access for Orange County High School, long-term, medium-term, and to, for the long-range plan, increase weekend and evening hours on the hill service?
I'd be
And
supportive of the first one, moving that to the medium term. I think, given that the short term and medium term projects are costed and the long term ones aren't, maybe that extra hour is put as a long term vision.
I said for the long term.
Yes, yeah,
It's not on there at all right now.
yeah. I'd be happy to take that.
Did y'all hear the changes?
yeah,
Yeah, can you repeat the whole motion
I think-
again so we make sure we get all the edits?
yeah, I
Or
think
did
I
you hear
got,
Brenda?
Josh is gonna come
Yeah.
here and read it so y'all hear
Okay.
it directly.
Okay.
let me see if I got that down. So it will
Wait, I think
be,
let's just have Josh repeat
Just
it
let
because
Josh-
it's written out. Yeah. Yeah.
We move to recommend approval with the note that the Orange County Commissioners should push Go Triangle to keep Route 420 and the Hill to Hill connector on their current alignment, and to move the Orange High School walking access up from long-term to medium-term, and to add weekend and evening hours as a long-term priority for the Hill to Hill connector. Got it?
And that's a second by. Okay.
In favor?
Can I,
Sherry?
I don't know if this would be an amendment or if we need to do this, but we do mention in here the transit information campaign.
Yeah, that's
And
in the, yeah.
Right, but it seems like, I think that there should be more emphasis on that. Whether that could be in a part of the motion or not, that is a priority to improve transit across all of the options. And if we can keep that in front of them, perhaps they can start thinking about how would we fund such a thing. But I would like to just ask the makers of the motion if we could add some language about in the importance of the transit information campaign.
Happy to take that as a friendly amendment.
Yes, accepted as a friendly amendment.
Thank you.
And seconded.
Still second.
We'll say all opposed.
Anybody opposed?
Hearing nobody's opposed, the second friendly amendment. Leave it pass. Yes, sir.
Not wanting to prolong this at all, but as I'm sitting here and living in the Brigham Township, on a regular basis, long continuous streams of traffic between Graham and Orange County. Is there any provider that would offer service for commuters from Graham to Orange County?
Graham to Orange County.
Clark.
Part does that. Part has expanded that, Route 4. They're Route 4. It's on Route 4. They connect Burlington Graham to I-40, Route 4. Parts Route 4 goes from Burlington, Graham, Mebane down to over on I-40, goes all the way down to Chapel Hill, stops at Eubanks Road, park and ride lot. Now, from my understanding, goes through MLK. And Route 4, I think they've added another bus to that. Any other questions, comments? Because right now I think we have a approved plan with small changes. Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. This is going to the
Yeah,
county
thanks so much,
commission.
everyone, for your feedback, and we'll be kind of making these edits this week so that Nish will be ready for you to bring to the board. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
And on that note, I think we'll hop off, but have a good rest of your meeting then.
All right, great. Now
Thank
the
you.
fun part. Safe Ride to School is the next on the agenda, and you have the full document in your packet. I do want to give you an update on the Safe Ride to School plan that's updated. Met with the town of Hillsborough staff. Hillsborough staff has asked for some changes to this. One change, really. Additional coordination and collaboration for 3 schools. 3 of the schools are in Hillsborough. The roads are Hillsborough roads. Any projects that goes to these 3 schools would require me going to the town board, town commissioners for additional coordination and collaboration to get those improvements done. This will be a narrative that will be added to the short range transit safe ride to school plan to clarify that Orange County will continue collaborating and cooperating with town of Hillsborough to make any of these improvements. We won't impose these improvements, but should these improvements go forward, we continue discussing with the town of Hillsborough to make those improvements. I think River Park, Central, and Hillsborough Elementary. Whatever those you see recommendations for those 3 schools, anytime we're pursuing those recommendations, would just require me going to their town, going to their staff, and working and collaborating those improvements. All the other improvements are county.
Yes, I have a question about that very thing, the River Park Elementary, because when I looked at, is it okay if I talk?
I think we had Art and you.
I'm sorry, I'm
confused a
sorry.
little.
You could take over, I would say in the River Park, seems to me to be the most problematic.
When those recommendations for River Park would just simply be me working with the town of Orange County, work with the town of Hillsborough more to determine how and when those improvements will be done.
Can I,
The recommendations and agree with them, or did they just ask to, did they ask to remove them, or did they ask to?
They agreed with them because they're built from their connectivity plan. Their connectivity plan fed this document. The only issue is if some of these recommendations may say sidewalk or bike lane, Hillsborough prefers a shared use path. So there's a language that's going to be added, bike lane, sidewalk, or shared use path to allow flexibility in what can actually be done. That's a very good question. 2 answers to that question. 1, Orange County does have a sidewalk maintenance agreement. It's for sidewalk maintenance agreements for a bridge project, so we're able to do sidewalk maintenance. The old new 86 between where NC 10 is, right south of Sheets and Aldi, DOT is replacing the bridge over the railroad tracks. DOT is going to build sidewalks on both sides of the bridge. Because we got a sidewalk maintenance agreement with DOT, DOT will build sidewalk from the bridge to Aldi and bridge to Home Depot. We will maintain that sidewalk till that little donut hole is annexed to the town of Hillsborough, because we will take over maintenance when that happens. So we can get sidewalk maintenance agreements for areas outside Orange County, outside of town of Hillsborough. ETJ, in terms of ETJ, from my previous conversations a couple years ago, it was town will not maintain outside. It was a clear red line in the sand, no maintenance of outside town jurisdiction. Shared use path, forget it, sidewalk, it was not gonna happen, so county can work with the town to address some of that thing going into the future. Terry, you had a question?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
regarding River Park, the pictures really don't show this, and there's no text in here. But the problem with River Park is in the evening or in the afternoon, there are probably 10 to 15 cars stopped in each lane, some coming in, some going out, waiting to do pickup. And if you don't know that that is a school time, you're stuck. And it's dangerous because you can't really go anywhere. You can't turn, you can't go around unless you want to go around and then maybe get hit. But there's no mention in the plan about any provision for doing anything on the road in front of it or the parking that occurs there. And I didn't know if that gets to your issue of the town of Hillsborough needs to look at that, but it's I couldn't believe it when I came upon it and was just shocked because there was nobody, and nobody was going to move. Nobody was going to move out of the way. Nobody was going to keep, it was a real hazard, a safety hazard. So I'm just raising that because it's not really referenced, particularly in the deficiencies in this report.
I can have an answer to that concern. I don't know if y'all heard the concern, if everyone heard. The issue is not just the issue was mainly River Park, River Park, where the car line goes onto the road. The car line that builds so far that it covers part of the road. This is not just this is a school major area. It's in the town of Hillsborough. It's in that area that affects a major safety issue. Sherry's absolutely right. But because of the planning process of the short range transit plan, because of how we got the scope of work approved and anything like that, that car line is an issue that is outside the scope of this work, of this project, because car line requires individual schools to work with the North Carolina Department of Transportation. They have a place called the Municipal School Transportation Assistance Program. Each school has to work with DOT separately to address that car line onto the road.
Can I just
While
suggest then, is it possible that we put what you just said, that the outboard noticed these issues and would urge each of the schools, whatever you just said, to work with the DOT because of the car lines are imminent hazards or safety hazards or something. It could just be in black and white in the plan, even with a reference that this is not in our scope, it's beyond our scope, but to reference the fact that it is a significant problem.
absolutely, we will work with the consultant to add clear, specific narrative into that because we repeated that narrative over and over and over with the schools trying to get this issue addressed. They didn't want to address it, so we're going to put into the narrative as it's a safety issue for us, and each school is strongly encouraged to work with DOT to address it.
Thank you.
It'll be a narrative to the report. You don't need to mention it in your conditional approval because I've repeated myself over and over during the previous meetings that we've had this. And as much as I try to get the schools to participate in that process to address it, at least the entry and exit off of the main road, they didn't want it touched. So we didn't touch it. So the surveys that the WSP did when they went out to each of the schools, like Cedar Ridge, when they went out there, the peak hours, they covered a 2-mile radius around the peak hours of morning drop off and afternoon pickup. That 2-mile radius around the schools, that's the road we can address. The safety issues around that we can address as much as we'd like to address the car line. We'll be working on improving the narrative to encourage schools to work with state to address their car line issue.
These numbers, especially the low bike ridership, are really shocking compared to my childhood. Did you see that Josh Leo's mom drove to school?
That should be like.
I guess just to get a little bit of clarity, what's gonna be the end product of the recommendations? I see like, for instance, a mid-block crossing near Cedar Ridge to Gray Brown is a high priority recommendation. What will the plan's recommendation feed into?
The recommendations will be feeding into different ways of us to try to implement that process. There's no full implementation as to how they'll be implemented. I mean, we will be working with DOT regarding spot safety, spot mobility, resurfacing. I mean, we may work on at some point in the future if there's actually infrastructure funds to Safe Road to School program. Right now, I don't think there's any infrastructure funds to a Safe Road to School program. It's mainly educational and informational kind of funding. But if the new authorization bill, if that comes out, maybe if they do put infrastructure funds to this, we'll be able to pursue that in the future because they used to have it when they first started. But right now, these recommendations would be things that we would go through spot safety, spot mobility, resurfacing, other administrative things that we can work with DOT to do, or through MPO funding or other funding mechanisms that we can try to pursue to get some of these improvements or partnership with the town or areas like that. I mean, Orange Grove, just to give you an idea and understanding, Orange Grove Road, as important, as critical as that is, because we now have recommendations in this, even in the 2014 plan that had these improvements back then. We now have an engineering firm going to do design engineering of that sidewalk. WSP is going to be doing design engineering of that sidewalk to give me bid documents to eventually at some point trying to work on actually building that sidewalk. So there'll be other ways of finding ways of funding. Right now, I need a playbook, a plan to what I actually need to do to make these things happen.
And would Orange County implement the ones that it's identified within?
We would work with the town of Hillsborough to continue coordinating and seeing who would take lead on the town, those that are in the town jurisdictions and town projects, how we would make those happen. That is the required improving the narrative in this, that we would require more coordination, collaboration to do those. Orange County would not impose on those recommendations, but we would see how we would want to work those things out. I don't think there's any full maps in this stuff. There are maps. Okay, this is what I get for not going through it in detail. Yeah, these are the general areas as to where some of these things would be. And those that are in the town of Hillsborough, they want flexibility. So if we don't get a sidewalk, if we don't get a bike lane, they prefer a shared use path. If they can't get a shared use path, prefer something else to make this happen, to allow that flexibility in the narrative as we proceed forward. Yeah, right now, this is a planning document. It's a planning exercise. These would need to be flushed out and detailed out as to what the limits would be and needed changes and improvements. So I guess we would need to explore that as to what those terminologies would be for some of these sidewalks and projects. Okay. Mhm.
Look like things that improve traffic flow or medium needs and things that were high needs, actually. And things that were safety related or medium or low. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Number one, A.L. Standback Middle School, lowering the speed limit is listed as a medium need. Given that at 45 miles an hour, at 30 miles an hour, you have a 55% chance of survival. At 40 miles per hour, you only have a 15% chance of survival if you're hit by a driver. I don't know why lowering speed limits around schools is a controversial thing, but I would certainly say that lowering from 45 to 35 would be it's low cost, high priority. And then things like adding shoulders or bike lanes along maybe 6. Some of these I'm not sure exactly if it would qualify as a
walk zone, but it looks like it would, and it looks like that's a low priority to add a bike lane or a sidewalk or a multi-use path or whatever. And it's on the BCHC MPO, 2030. I just feel like the things that really improve safety as opposed to facilitating movement of cars should be high priorities. And I know that the state will not fund standalone bike or pedestrian crossings. Believe me, I know that. But things like lowering speed limits and things that are already on the DCHC plan, the DCHC MPO plans, I don't know why those are low priorities. They've been on there since 2017.
I can ask the consultant to change the speed limit to a higher priority. That's an easy administrative update. That's an administrative change that can happen, that we can work with DOT to administratively reduce speed limit. I mean, we were successful with DOT working with them with an MSTA to get Orange Grove Road a little speed limit school zone expanded, stuff like that. So I will ask the consultant to improve the priority for lowering the speed limit to a higher priority to be able to pursue those a little bit faster than, because those can be done administratively. In terms of those that are in the MPO, CTP, and MTP documents, based on my 7 years of history here, getting a project funded has been a bigger challenge. Hence, it was how to move it forward. It's difficult to move forward just because they're in the CTP or an MTP to get them going and finding innovative ways to make that happen. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I want to caution y'all, I want to give y'all an update. The item that was pulled from this agenda, the transportation multimodal plan that was pulled, and it's going to come back to y'all later, has a different prioritization process. That prioritization process, as I mentioned at the last meeting, school access is a scoring priority for safety. That is going to help change, even though it's a priority in a different way here in the Safe Ride to School plan, it may have a higher priority in the transportation multimodal plan, pushing it forward. This is a living document, so we will, if the county commissioners, when I go to the county commissioners with the Safe Ride to School plan and say, hey, move this up, I'm moving it up.
School and have walks for kids walking to school, and it seems to me that should be a higher priority. I'll also say that I'm thrilled to see that the pedestrian bridge is a high priority now. Which I think started 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and then it was on and off and on and on. I'm glad it's back.
And as part of the engineering study that we're doing with WSP. Yes, ma'am.
When was that collected? Because that doesn't really seem like what I remember. Was it like this year?
It was this year. It was this past, I think it was March, early this year. Like I said, it was during peak hour, pickup and drop off. It was like a Tuesday or something like that. It was a weekday that the WSP consultant had gone out there and done that in the. It does affect the priority. If there's more there, but how to get that data? Like I said, this data was based on the field visit that they, as a consultant, saw during the peak hour. If there's more, huh? I don't think they noted the weather when it was done in the fall, spring. Sorry, this past spring. I don't think they noted the weather. Heidi can help me understand. I think y'all can help me understand. When we did this when this was done back in 2014, how was the counting done back in 2014? it would really help boost the importance of students walking, because when we did the public engagement with the school principals and the vice principals in July, Eflin Cheek's principal was saying there's a lot of students. The principal couldn't give me the number. They had 20 to 30 in their field visit. I believe there's more students walking. I believe more students are biking. I believe that that is what is happening in several schools. I just don't have the data other than this telling me how many.
Like from late.
Absolutely.
And so I don't know. Like, it could have been collected on a day where most of the buses were like running on time, or it might take like a week or two to collect some more.
Absolutely about the school bus. I totally get the school bus because I drove down Orange Grove Road. I saw a school bus stop at Patriots Point, pick students up from Patriots Point, go down the street, pick up students at the mobile home park that's down Orange Grove Road, and then take a left at Oakdale. The school is right down the street. And you, Grady Brown, and these high school kids that are getting on the bus are going left on Oakdale, and like
I mean, I tried to have my kids take the school bus. I'm like, you can pick you up at 6:20 in the morning.
and drop off is probably worse. I mean, getting home in the afternoon. I've seen Caroline and the bus, students getting on the buses in Cedar Grove. I've seen. I mean, you're going around town before you're getting home.
Statistic that's not in here that may be the most important as far as I'm concerned is the kids who would bike or ride to school if it were safer. Their parents felt confident that it would be safe for them to do it. The only way to really do that would be a survey of parents and students by the principals in the schools to see.
When
You have your child walk or ride to school if such and so were done to make it safe. So the students that you're counting are perhaps only a portion of the students who would fail themselves of,
I will answer that in 1 second. I got a comment for that one. What if I just hand you a bunch of surveys? I will get you a bunch of surveys because when we started this back in January and February, the state's Safe Data School Coordinator says you need to use this survey as part of the program. The Safe Data School program is a federal program. There's a federal survey required for this program. We passed it out earlier when we started this process. I'll hand you a bunch of surveys. I would try to go to a bunch of schools and hand some surveys out. I appreciate the principal helping and participating in this process, but I would trust students more. Yeah, Eric is also saying in the chat, the current walking and biking numbers are responsive to the realities of the hazards or kids' comfort. Give them safe routes and the numbers will rise, a good outcome. If the route is safe, more will do it.
And Hillsborough Elementary doesn't have buses. That's why.
Right, yeah, I
High.
understand.
The magnet school, so kids from all over.
I still
So
feel like
there's-
there might be a large number nearby.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know exactly, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a magnet school and I know that there's no buses because, well, but.
There are a couple buses.
It's a magnet school. I think there were 44 kids who ride in the morning. But still, I feel like with a 10-minute bike ride, there's 3,600 families around several of those.
Central also is one of the ones that said people don't walk or bike at all, which is, if you look at the district map I'm pretty sure, am I right? Central Elementary said they don't do walking, right?
I think Central's where the kids.
One school said no walking.
Said you had to have permission.
And there was, a lot of them do that, actually. Like Orange Middle does that too, but, Central, I think they said nobody walks, if I'm remembering correctly from last time, which was surprising to me because that one actually has a district right around it that people should be living in.
They do live around there. I'm sorry, they do live around there, but they're huge, but people zoom along Nash. I mean, there's not really, it's not safe. Central Elementary.
But it's right next to Hillsborough Elementary, so I think it must be something with the administration that doesn't allow people to walk, because people would walk to Central, someone would.
Central has 5.
They have 5.
I've heard gossip that some of the schools are not wanting people
They
walking.
don't, they don't like, the administration will discourage.
Sorry.
I don't think the county's aware of it. I don't think the commissioners or anybody, other people detail. I don't think there's full awareness. Like I said, it's something I've heard. I don't have any evidence to go with it. One meeting.
I have one comment about.
And I gave them the draft document. I reached out to the Board of Education. Bonnie Hauser helped me get the schools involved. I had to go to the Board of Education to get their involvement to help with them. And I've submitted this document to the superintendent to get the feedback. I've offered to present to the Board of Education this whole document. I'm hoping to get the Board of Education to say yes, to let me present and talk to them and get their support in this document. I've also sent this to the state North Carolina Department of Transportation for their review and their stuff. So waiting to hear back on all that. But right now, it's radio silent.
One comment about this Orange High that says installing no parking signs along Orange High School Road. I don't, so the Orange High School Road is another one of those roads where the car line really backs up. And this specifically says it's because people make U-turns, but the fact is that's also the Orange Middle car line in that exact same spot that backs up all the way past Orange High School. And I think if you can't just pick one school and say you can't park here because they do it in front of, like, River Park parks in front of St. Mary's, or like, I think it's ridiculous that parents show up like 40 minutes early to pick up their kids and sit in the road. And if we could, as a county, stop doing that, that would be amazing. But it would have to be like the whole county, not just Orange High School Road, which is actually, I mean, as roads go, that's the safest one to pass the car line because it's like flat and straight and you can see really far.
And if it's a state road, that is something we would coordinate with DOT to say no parking.
Yeah, it's also easy to get around.
We far enough along to prove this with all the recommendations that have been made.
Let me just make sure I have the understanding of the recommendations right now to give you a clear motion. Improving the narrative to add a strong emphasis for the schools to work with NCDOT MSTA to address their car line issue and address the backup on county state roads. Specify the linear feet of the sidewalks and the bike lane improvements to provide a little more detail to what the recommendations already are. The speed limit, improving the higher priority for speed limit, to change the speed limit to a higher priority because that's something that can be done administratively. With coordination with DOT. Make safety a higher priority, either now through this plan or through the transportation multimodal plan, because it's in there. Bike lanes, shoulders, and on NC 86 area, because I think that addresses 2 of the schools there, should also be moved up in priority. No parking needs to be addressed in as much as possible on state roads, especially with some of these schools. And to try to encourage more surveys. More surveys to. I'll deliver them tomorrow. Did I miss anything? So the motion is with these changes. Motion is to approve the safe routes to school plan with these changes. Moved by,
That are already on plans for ARPA or.
especially those already approved plans.
Or the NPL getting new goals.
Oh, MPO is going to do a branding exercise, so there'll be a whole new name for them too, so that wasn't. And a third. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your hard work and help with this. This will go to the Board of County Commissioners October 15th with these changes. If you want people to come and support, I strongly encourage people to come at the October 15th Board of County Commissioners meeting. It'll be in Southern Human Services in Chapel Hill. So we look forward to that. In the rest of your packet is the MPO and CDOT updates and the projects that are going on. As you can see, I-40 is on schedule. Should be coming in closing within the next year or so. 85 will start next. I got a couple local planner input forms for some bridges I need to work on doing. So a couple bridges going under place. County is working with Stantec. Stantec has been selected to kick off the bike ped plan for the county. An official bike ped plan for the county. And this is only going to focus on the unincorporated areas of Orange County. We're not going to touch Hillsborough, Chapel Hill, Carrboro, Mebane. Huh? There's a bike brochure. There's no bike plan. There's CTP, the comprehensive transportation plan that we have. That's in the two MPOs and an RPO. There's bike ped projects in there, but they're in 3 different documents. That's in the RPO. That's in the RPO area. That's in the RPO area. It's like a portion of the county. It's not the rest of the whole county. This Stantec is doing it for the entire county. We're going to be working with the town. Josh has volunteered to be helping serve as a Chapel Hill representative on the core technical team. He's going to meet with us monthly to help us understand Chapel Hill needs, but we're going to be focusing on Orange County needs. He's just going to let us know what Chapel Hill is doing to make sure our plans are consistent with theirs. Asking Stephanie Trueblood to be for Hillsborough. Christina Moon is going to help with Carrboro. Ashley Owenby to help with Mebane to make sure we're coordinating our county's bike ped plan with what is local towns are already doing. So that'll be kicking off for another year and a half. The Senate kicked off with a internal meeting Friday, so we'll be doing an official meeting. I think next month I'll present it to y'all. Hopefully get them to come and talk about the whole project and stuff like that. They'll be talking about the public engagement process, the timeline, schedule, and all the details and stuff. We'll be getting more information at the next month's meeting to do that. Deeper is going to be on the same well, there's an RFP out. Department of Parks and Recs is working on a trails plan. So they'll be working on getting a consultant for that. I think that should start in December. So we'll be getting those 2 plans started and getting underway and coordinating those out. We look forward to see, now you'll be able to participate in those planning process. You'll be able to see all how that shapes out and be able to let us know other bike ped stuff and other places that we want to address some of these improvements that people are, because I think Hillsborough has a skate park now. Yeah. So that would be an important need. And stuff. Yeah. And I think there's a couple more schools. I think there's a private charter school going on West 10 and near Buckhorn area, stuff like that. So there's gonna be more need. That's all I really have for y'all. Oh yeah, Emily left, so I don't know who those 2 were. I'll have to go back and check with you. So that'll come back at the next month's meeting. And I think from my understanding is even if the terms expire, you get another year. anyway. So if you want to stay on, we'll find out who those two are and see if you want to stick around, and if not, we'll. I think county commissioners, from my understanding, we keep a attendance log. Who's attending these meetings, whether you're attending virtually or in person, we keep an attendance. I think that right now we're told just keep an eye on the attendance if you're actually attending. If you're not, if you're consecutively gone for 4 meetings or 3 meetings, then it raises a red flag. Yeah. If there's a replacement, if there's people that have applied. Usually we've been sitting on 4 vacant positions. I mean, y'all filled, I mean, the youth delegate position has been vacant since January, and you filled a couple other vacant position, you filled a vacant position, so we've been getting some on. So if there is any expirations, I'll let you know next month who they are, and we're gonna stick around. And I think in December we'll do elections again if we need to do elections, I think in December. What were my updates earlier this morning, this afternoon? Yeah, Rails to Trails, Carborough. There is a project going on, a study going on regarding the old coal line, abandoned line. Not yet, but that's what I say. I think there's a feasibility, a study going on regarding that. I think, who is it, sort of UNC or somebody is getting.
They're basically gonna try and find a grant to go study. If all the jurisdictions have signed on saying, yes, we want you to go study it. No guarantee that they'll come up with anything after it, but it is a coordinated effort led by the Central Pines Police.
So is Central Pine Regional Council or Central Pine RPO?
Council.
Oh, Regional Council, okay. The Regional Council, the consortium, that's the running it.
Yeah.
I think right now, aren't they looking for financial commitments for that project? They're looking for.
No financial.
Ah, okay. To study it, to study the opportunity, to study. No, this would be a Rails to Trails kind of thing. This is I think we had an annual conference with last week in Greensboro, no, Winston-Salem, for the annual State Trails Conference, DOT and Department of Parks and Recs in one room talking about this issue. I sent our business officer to that one. I couldn't make it to that one. I was trying to get prepared for that. I was a little busy. Now I'll go to the next one. Yeah. So we will be part of that study. So Orange County will be part of that study when that goes forward. So we'll see how we can get more and more involved. I think Travis and I are working on attending all those meetings. The bollards. You want to talk about bollards on Orange Grove Road and other temporary measures that we can do and pursue that? I talked to Chuck Edwards separately to find out what's going on with the status of trying to do something administratively about that right now. Because right now DOT is also doing a express design study of the importance of the bike ped improvements along Orange Grove Road and modernizing that road. I'll have to keep bugging him regarding that issue till we can get something done. That is something I'll have to constantly follow up on regarding that. Maybe with the Safe Rider School plan being adopted, I'll have some more leverage. To separate where the kids can still walk over the bridge and still be a separation between the cars that are going on that bridge, to provide some sort of temporary separation. Yeah, and they don't like that right now.
The kids too, to stay close to the edge.
Besides the guardrail that went up and earlier and stuff like that.
All of your priorities.
Yeah.
Anything else? Comment, if you're monitoring attendance, inform the minute taker that not everybody attends every meeting. If you look at the minutes, everybody's present.
That's my correction. That's on me to fix it. That's on me to change. I mean, I think earlier, a couple years ago, I did a table and I think I had to do a sign-in sheet next time.
The one meeting I go to, they have a table with a checkbox. So it always has everyone's name there, so you can copy and paste, but like
Yeah.
the person who's doing the minutes just fills in the checkbox.
Yeah.
So you don't have to like delete people.
That was my original attempt back in 2022. The table.
Secondary roads and 18 sections of secondary roads. I'd really like to see which roads those are. For instance, on that big Ridge Road is like a washboard boulevard. It's got tar and gravel on at least a couple of different occasions. Subsurfaces just knock your teeth out when you drive up and down. It's 1 mile long, really. So if we could see the roads that are being proposed for resurfacing, that would give us a little bit more of an indication of whether there's some roads that we need to advocate for and others to.
The highway maintenance improvement program, I will bring that up at the next meeting. That is a list that you're talking about. That is a list that I'm referring. The highway maintenance improvement program is a 4-year plan that's updated every year. It has a detailed list of what roads being resurfaced and how they're resurfacing it. Every time I see that list, I keep bugging, add more shoulder, add a couple feet of shoulder. You're doing this resurfacing, add a little. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did you bring the snacks in today?
Oh, yours, enjoy.
Hey, thanks